Welcome everybody to our April MCC meeting. Always a pleasure to bring people together for these meetings. We have another great group presenting today, and I am really happy to be kicking it off. Our in-person housekeeping, please take note of your emergency exits in case of an emergency landing of this aircraft to your left and right. We have restrooms out the door to the left, down that hallway. Our lunch today is from Area 509, delicious Haitian food. So if you like it, please take a chance and go over there for lunch or dinner. Really wonderful food. And thank you once again to Fox Valley Technical College for providing us this space free of charge. They've been very generous for as long as we've been doing the MCC meetings to provide these spaces, including this lovely conference center at the Bordini. For our virtual housekeeping, and I guess this also applies for people in person, the meeting is being recorded. This will be posted on YouTube today or tomorrow. And just general video call etiquette, please mute yourself until you're ready to speak, and you can ask questions and comment in the chat or raise the hand. We will be monitoring the chat. Our agenda is just going to be a welcome from me, some MCI updates. Our lovely Sarah Schneider of Valley Transit will introduce our speakers from Ebb and Flow Connections Cooperative, and then we will be into our feature presentation. At the end, we always like to save some time for Q&A and for group updates. So if you in the audience, both in person and virtual, would like to share some community updates from your organization, please take note, and we will try to save some time for you. Some upcoming events. First, from New Hmong professionals, there's going to be To Be Home Conference. That's going to be just next week, May 3rd and 4th. Registration is still open, and you can register up till the day of. That will be here at the Bordini Center, and it's a 2-day event. It starts at 4 p.m. on Friday, and then it's an all-day on Saturday. The MCI Open House is something that we're very excited to be offering. We're going to invite you all into our space in Menasha. We want to show it off. We've been there for a while now, but we're finally ready to fully open the doors and have a little party to kick things off. So we'll have hors d'oeuvres, and you can come and go as you please from 4 to 7. And there'll be remarks at 5 p.m. that day on May 16th. All right, we do have volunteer opportunities at MCI. We have our community garden, which just got some raised beds built yesterday, so we're very excited about that. We have our clothes closet, which is overflowing. We would love to have some help sorting through clothes and getting them on the racks. We do not need donations at the time of clothes. We just want to make note of that. Maria will go crazy if we get more clothes at the moment. We'll let you know when we're looking for donations. And then our bodega is our little household goods and food market. And so we've got opportunities to do all sorts of different things for those 3 programs. And you can let Maria Mason, who's in the back of the room in the corduroy hat, know if you would love to have some quality time at our building. And then we also have a sponsorship opportunity for these events. If your organization or a business or an organization that you think would be interested in sponsoring these lunches, please let us know. We provide the food when we have in-person sessions out of our budget, but we would love to be able to collaborate and partner to be able to cover these costs. And so we always, when we buy lunch, and this goes for all of our programming, not just MCC, but we're always looking to support minoritized businesses. This is a way that we try to encourage and support these communities. And we will be offering ongoing branded promotion for whoever the sponsor is. So you'll be in the emails, you'll be on the socials. Whoever that is. So let us know. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Sarah Schneider, who's going to introduce our featured speakers today.
Thank you, Kyle. Can we give Kyle a round of applause? He does an incredible job and puts in a lot of effort to make these events flawless and organized and technologically competent, and he's just so generous to pass his appreciation. I appreciate you, Kyle. Today, we have a program that I have been informed, get your tissues. Very excited to welcome Karen Everson Riggers and Lynn McLaughlin. They are member owners of Ebb and Flow Connections Cooperative. Ebb and Flow is a worker-owned cooperative established in 2021 and provides training, consultation, and healing listening spaces for social connection and emotional wellness. Lynn and Karen are both Wisconsin certified peer specialists, trainers of emotional CPR, co-creators of the Missing Piece, and listening to trauma, co-founders of the Real Vibes Only podcast. Everybody go online right now and follow. And they are passionate about creating spaces where folks can be seen, heard, valued, just as they are. So we're thrilled you're here today, ladies. Who wants the microphone first?
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me okay? Yay! It's so exciting when technology works. Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Iverson Riggers. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a member owner of Ebb and Flow Connections Cooperative, and so glad to be with all of you, see some familiar faces, see some friends we haven't met yet. So glad to see all of you. So this quote is from Vivek Murthy, the US Surgeon General. Well, loneliness has the potential to kill. Connection has even more potential to heal. And if you have not yet had a chance to download this report, this is from the US Surgeon General. It was released in 2023. It's talking about our epidemic of loneliness and isolation. There's a lot of powerful statistics about isolation and loneliness, how affected we all are, how prevalent it is. But more powerfully in this report, and this is what I would invite you to kind of check out, are the recommendations that they share for individuals, organizations, and community on how we can build connection. I also really love that the report doesn't place the blame on individuals for feeling lonely or isolated. It really talks about how our community structures have changed that make us more isolated and lonely. So this report is so powerful, and we've been talking about social connection since our work started, and the importance of both connecting with ourselves, that's like the emotional wellness piece, and connecting with other people. We need connection just as much as we need food and water and shelter. And it has a huge effect on our overall health and wellness. Yeah, there we go. So these are just some of the statistics from that report that's talking about the impact of isolation and loneliness. And I should say the difference between those two. So social connection, or that term, is measuring the number of connections, the quantity of connections that we have in our world. Loneliness is talking about the quality of those connections. So you can feel lonely in a crowded room. Maybe some of you are feeling lonely right now. Like I felt that way before, where it's like there are all of these people here, but I don't feel really like I'm seen or heard, right, for who I am. And so that's the experience of loneliness. So the effects of social isolation, the health effects, it's equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And I think we all know about what that impact is on our health and wellness. Loneliness has the same impact. It's linked to poor sleep, depression, and impaired immunity. It's linked to increased thoughts of suicide and self-harm. It's linked to increased risk of stroke and heart disease, and linked to risk of premature mortality. So connection is not just something that's like nice to have. This is essential to our health and well-being. And when you start paying attention to this, you're gonna like see this everywhere. People talking about social connection and this idea of being connected in the communities where we are.
So I'm Lynn. I'm also a member of Ebb and Flow. and love, love, love the work that we do because it's all around connection. And what we've really put together is that connection is prevention. And we mean that in the broadest sense possible. When we think of all of the big community issues that are around us, homelessness, suicide prevention, food insecurity, housing, when we think of all these huge issues, a lot of times people are not getting the sources or resources that they need because they don't have that connection and that trust built to be able to ask for what they really need. So when I think about connection, I love telling stories because I think it helps pull in what it really means. So if I say, how are you? And you say, I'm fine, and keep walking, that could be considered a connection. But if I say, how are you really? And you are in a space to be able to share, you know what, life is really hard right now. And I can say this personally, my life it feels really hard right now. There are things happening to me as I age. There are things happening to people that I love around me. And what I believe, and I always go back to when my daughter went to college. No one told me about empty nest. No one prepared me for the loss that would ignite in me. And what I needed was someone to be able to sit with me at the level of pain I was feeling. And I don't know if you've heard the term toxic positivity before, when you share something really hard or painful and it's met with, well, it's not so bad. You know, your daughter's only 2 hours away, Lynn. Or you have all this time for yourself now, Lynn. What are you going to do? And I'm dying inside. And every time I try to share that pain with someone, that's what I'm met with, is dismissal or invalidation or minimizing or judging or assessing or referring. No one can sit with me at the level of pain that I'm feeling. And the moment there have been a lot of different moments in my life. Hey, peeps. Pardon me? Hi, Fred. No. Hi, friends. There have been moments in my life, you know, whether it's at a grocery store and they're checking things out. And the moment you go, how are you? And they go, fine, keep checking things out. And you say, wow, it seems like it's been really busy. I bet that's frustrating. And they look up and go, you see me. I matter. That's what connection is. So when we talk about it in the realm of prevention, and I shared the information about my daughter, how many times I was invalidated or minimized, I kept my resolve to keep sharing what I was going through diminished. I didn't want to connect with people because I didn't want to be dismissed again. I didn't want to be minimized again. I didn't want to be told I needed to get resources. I needed somebody to see me. I needed somebody to hear me. And gratefully, she's standing right there, because my thoughts of suicide came up, my thoughts of this really doesn't matter. No one really wants to see me. No one really wants to hear me. And she sat with me and said, your pain is real. And I can tell that you're hurting, and tell me about it. And I'm not going to like change the subject or move you over here or say, go to the hospital. I'm just going to sit with you in this pain. So when Karen was talking about connection, it's connection within ourselves and connection with others. And you can actually go. Connection with ourselves and connection with others. And the biggest piece of that connection is emotion. And we call it the missing piece because when you think about physical health, if you said, I really want to focus on my physical health, people would say, there's a gym, there's exercise, there's, you know, vitamins, there's good food, there's this, there's lots of different information around physical health. Thankfully, mental health is gaining speed, and there are resources for that as well. When we talk about mental health, we talk about thinking and brain. How are you thinking? As I was thinking about what was happening in my life, but I wasn't able to get in touch with the emotion, which was a really important piece of it. And anytime I brought up that emotion, it was pushed to the side. So really having that space, excuse me, to be with the emotions of another person and that connect with yourself and others. How am I sitting with other people's pain? How am I sitting with my own pain? How do I sit with sadness? Am I able to express that? Am I able to express anger without someone trying to fix me or push me in another direction? And when I made that connection, like when I knew that Karen could sit with my pain, I could fully feel my pain, and then I could be with other people that had that same level of pain. And I could hear stories, and it didn't impact me as much because I knew what that was like. So we talk about emotions as the missing piece when we talk about health, when we talk about well-being. I also want to acknowledge, and I'm sorry, I don't even know what the next slide is. Okay, can I keep talking about emotion?
Yeah, go for it.
I love talking about emotion. I could talk about it forever. Recognizing that when we look at our community design, when we look at societal norms, when we look at systemic oppression, there's not a lot of space for emotion in any of those. Like I said, if you show up in community and you're a hot mess, people are going to try to minimize it or push it away or do anything so that it's not there. But you can smile and you can be happy and you can be positive. But guess what, folks? We're human. And we have all of the feels. Sadness is real. Guilt is real. Fear is real. All of these things that we've pushed aside in favor of logic. And I'm not saying that logic isn't important, because it is. We need to be able to think our way through things. But feelings and emotions are equally as important. As Karen was talking about that social isolation piece, all of those same medical and mental health challenges are part of that emotional dismissal. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm done.
Yeah, that's good. And for those of you who, because I'm a person who always like geeks out when science catches up with what we know as humans. So our emotions are processed in a totally different part of our brain and body than the thinking part. So we have to feel our feelings. So I have a long history of mental health therapy. Name a therapy, I have done the therapy, right? Based on experiences that I've had. And a lot of it was thinking my way out of feelings. Like, don't feel this way, think your way out of feelings. And we can't do that. Feelings, emotions are a body biological response. They're processed in a part of our brain that is deeply connected to our nervous system. And so when we repress or suppress emotion, it affects our nervous systems and our body wellness. And we can't just think emotion away. So we could, I get very excited about this. So I could talk about it more, but we have lots of opportunities. If you want to talk about it more, we would love to share more.
Okay, I'm going to share one other thing.
Oh,
because
yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
came back and went, shoot. I was totally freehanding it there. A quote from a person that was a friend of ours from the peer movement talks about pain witnessed is pain transformed. So when we're grieving, when life is hard, we need someone to witness that in order to move through it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was just a little.
That's good. Yeah.
Blurby.
Thanks, Carolyn Maisel White, for that. Pain witnessed is pain transformed. So Ebb and Flow Connections Cooperative, we wanted to like set the table a little bit, right? These are all of the things that we've been talking about. And so there was a group of us that came together that was really passionate about talking about social connection and emotional wellness. And so we started doing this work back in 2019. It was seeded through Levin, where we started doing emotional CPR training, which I'll talk a little bit more about. So we started doing that training with volunteers, with folks who were connected with Levin. We opened a listening space there where we just opened doors for folks to come in and talk about what was going on in their world, because Levin recognized that if folks were walking in the door in financial crisis, that was definitely not the only thing that was going on in their lives. And so beautifully recognized that and said, we need space. We need space for people to be able to talk about what is going on in their lives. So we started emotional CPR in that listening space, and that just grew and grew and grew in community. And then we were like, we should probably like find a way to organize ourselves. Does this sound familiar, MCI? We should probably do a thing and make this a little more official. We're doing this thing. And so that's where Ebb and Flow Connections Cooperative was born. And so we were established in November of 2021. We love the name Ebb and Flow. It's a really intentional reference to both what our lives are like as humans, right? The ebb and flow of experience, and also a reference to water, which water can be super powerful, just like our emotions, right? Water can wash away structures. Water can also heal, right? And water is essential to life. So ebb and flow, that's where kind of that name came from. So our mission is to expand opportunities for social connection and emotional wellness that improve the quality of life for people in our communities. As you heard Lynn say, we talk a lot about connection, and we really feel like the essence of connection and empowerment, like when we feel that, we're in a place where we feel seen, heard, and valued just as we are. Not like you should or right, just as we are. And so we're passionate about creating spaces where folks can feel that through connection. And so that might look like listening healing spaces, like our community living room. It might look like training opportunities that we do. It might look like connecting with and collaborating with other partners, right, to build connection in other ways in community. So it looks all different ways for us, but it's really centered in connection. So we are a cooperative structure. If you don't know this, Wisconsin has the most robust laws in the country around cooperatives because there are so many dairy and farm cooperatives. And so we're a cooperative. And so what that means is that all of us who are members are worker owners. It changes some of the structure around organizations. So I've got more than 20 years in the nonprofit sector, right, with that experience. And this has been a big shift in the way that we work, because we love the work that we do, but what I love even more is the way we do the work. And the way that that looks is following the values, whether that's from peer support or from emotional CPR, or the values of the work that we do, really living those values in the way we do our work. So all of us come from diverse backgrounds and experiences, but all of us identify with having our own experience with mental health, substance use, trauma, or other adverse experiences. So that's really kind of grounding that this is a group of folks who we all have our experience with difficult things, and find power in using that experience in mutual support with other people. So we have 10 members right now in our cooperative. I think this is me too. Yeah, me too. So I mentioned that we do training. So how many of you here have taken emotional CPR, eCPR? Yeah, yes. You are friends now with more than 1,500 people that we've trained in emotional CPR. And so when folks take emotional CPR, we tell you that you're a co-conspirator in our mission to change and take over the world, but in like a really kind way and probably with cookies. So eCPR is a training, emotional CPR. It's a public health community education program that teaches folks how to support someone in emotional distress or crisis. So eCPR is taught all over the world. Lynn and I are the lead trainers for the state of Wisconsin. And we have both an intro eCPR that we do and a full 12-hour practitioner training. So when you take eCPR, it's not like you get a certificate and you're like, you're amazing, you know this, we have now, right, you can do it. No, this is like human experience. You're a practitioner, you practice. We practice what it is to hold space. So we use that term. And what we mean by that is to create a space that's open for another person's emotions, feelings, and their whole self, and to be really fully present with that. So we hold space for folks for what's real in their lives. So in emotional CPR, it's an acronym. So C stands for connect, the P is the cheat, that is for empower, and the R is for revitalize. And so it's a process of phase. And if you think about it, if you think about a time in your life when you had a connection where you walked away feeling like, I can take a breath, right? Or I can do the next thing. That's what we're talking about with revitalization. That's what it looks like, right? And maybe it's just being able to take another breath, or maybe my shoulders came out from being earrings, or maybe I feel like somebody just really saw me. So that's emotional CPR. We also do a curriculum that Lynn and I created called Missing Piece. So the E in eCPR is for emotion, but we found as we were doing eCPR, a lot of folks were like, this is the first time I've ever talked about emotion with anybody. And we're hungry for more. And so now there's a 12-hour curriculum called the Missing Piece that is all about emotional health and wellness and really getting in touch with our own emotions, which strengthens our ability to hold space for somebody else's emotions. So Brene Brown talks about that we can only connect with others to the extent that we are connected with ourselves. And so that's part of the work that we're doing both in eCPR and Missing Piece, is getting in touch, right, with our emotional selves, with our emotions. We have a new curriculum that we're launching this month called Listening to Trauma, which is all about, just like if I were to sum it up in 2 statements, believe people. It's really grounded in really understanding that trauma is a really subjective experience. What's traumatic for me might not be for you. And so really believing people and honoring the impact of what's happened to them. And so it's all about connection as prevention, this idea of deeply connecting with folks, especially in times of really difficult experiences.
Okay. So as a result of the work that we did at Levin, the training that we did, the eCPR training, we found there was a greater need in community and came up with this community living room model. Gratefully, we received a planning grant from the Community Foundation to go out in community and say, this is what we're thinking. How would this work for you? How would this fit? What would you need? What would it look like? And we connected with 60 stakeholders and interviewed them as part of the planning grant. And what we heard is, in this space that we envisioned, we asked, do you see it as a permanent space? Do you see it as a pop-up? Do you see it as virtual? Do you see it as phone? Do you see it as text? And like 90% of every person that we interviewed said, we would like them all, please. And then we realized we had to do a pilot year, so we picked the pop-up version of the community living room. So what does a community living room look like? It consists of, so it's pop-up. We take it into organizations. We also do it in community. We show up with an end table, a lamp, a rug, an area rug, a basket of blankets, and a welcome mat. And we can put that wherever you would like a community living room. And when you come into the space, there are listeners, and all of the listeners are, number one, trained in eCPR as a framework for listening. And all of our listeners are paid because we recognize the importance of what they are bringing into the space. and that is unconditional, non-judgmental listening. It's listening, and so often we learn about listening when we're very, very young. And oftentimes what we hear when we're learning how to listen is be quiet. It's keep your mouth shut. When you think of little kids, it's be quiet. But listening is more than being quiet, because when we really pay attention in our minds, we'll be hearing all kinds of things. Sometimes it's a shopping list. Sometimes it's a judgment, a bias. Sometimes it is something completely unrelated. I'm guilty. I'm looking out and go, oh, there's a dog. I'm a dog person. But it's really being mindful of what's happening within you when you are with another person. The other part that's really, really important is there's no judgment that that's what's happening either, because we're human beings. That's what happens. And until we are aware of it, we can't shift in a new direction. So on the screen is kind of the timeline, and Karen went through some of it. So we started in 2019 at Levin. The pandemic hit and we took it online. We started the virtual training. What was really, really surprising to us, we knew that connection and ECPR worked in person, but we were curious if that was going to translate in a virtual environment. Because of the framework of the training, it does. It does, because it's about seeing people, hearing people, valuing, and there's connections that happen within the people in the training and with us as the trainers. We have trained people, I just like saying this, in Greenland. We have one person that's on number one. I don't know how they found us. It was just this divine moment. And we were like, oh my God, we can say we've trained in Greenland.
Internationally,
Yeah. I have no idea how they found us, but it was really cool to have them in the space. So we went virtual, and from that's where, when Karen mentioned 1,500 people, a lot of that happened during that year in the virtual space, because we could train more frequently. In fact, there was at one point we were doing like 3 a month, but people were looking for spaces for connection. So we did the training, we got the planning grant, we did the pilot grant, and recently received a grant from Advancing Healthier Wisconsin through the Medical College of Wisconsin to expand to Winnebago County. And we are thrilled. A little scared, but thrilled. That's another piece of it, when you can like name what's going on as we're evolving, like a little scared, but we'll figure it out. And we have a space that will be opening in September. Downtown Appleton Rise Development has built affordable housing, and we are on the ground level. It's a community space that will be a community living room. What will that look like? We don't know. There will be traditional, are we anything traditional? Pop-up spaces, where all of our pop-up spaces, food is brought in, because that's central to connection and sharing a meal. But we're going to have dance parties. I insist. We're going to have, we're going to be open during Mile of Music, and we're going to have people playing music. We're going to have art. It's just going to be all of these different ways to connect. Sometimes it's just, I need someone to talk to, and there will be space for that as well. So this is the official definition. What is community living room? It's a non-clinical, person-centered environment for people seeking social connection and emotional support. You notice it doesn't say crisis. I firmly believe, when I think about the time when my daughter went to college, if I had been able to share it right out of the gate when all those emotions were flooding me, it wouldn't have built to the point that it did. And if we can meet people when they're just starting to feel the effects of life, and I'm not even going to name what it is because it's different for everyone, but if they can have someone to connect with, we can hopefully avoid that crisis place. We also are, because of the framework of ECPR, we're also able to do crisis. So we're kind of the full gamut. Our hope is to focus more on the prevention piece and really start providing the space where people can be seen and heard. I think I just said all that.
Yeah, I think the things I would add that are frequent questions that we get, you don't have to make an appointment. It's just walk in. There aren't any forms for folks to fill out. The idea was really helping to break down a lot of barriers that people face when they're going to seek help. And a lot of times, right, what happens is people don't reach out for help until like it's really difficult. And if you do reach out, right now you're going to be on a wait list, right? And so the idea of, if you've heard that like public health approach before, right, of like people are like they're rescuing people who are drowning in the river, like we're just rescuing people and rescuing people and rescuing people, and then we like went up like upstream and we're like, what's happening? Why are people falling in the river? And so that's part of the idea with community living room, is really going to where folks are to connect with them and offering that opportunity for connection right when they need it. So I mentioned before, tell folks that take ECPR that they're co-conspirators in our mission to change the world. And that mission is what it looks like is if you're struggling in community, that there's somebody who would be there to listen right when you need it, right? Not wait, right when you need it. So that's like the ideal like space. Someday you're all co-conspirators now. So to join in that idea of really saying connection is so important, and connection right when we need it.
So some of the people that we have collaborated with in the Fox Valley People of Progression in the house. Menasha Library, were able to offer 2 community living rooms. And with them being so close to the high school, we had a parent community living room and a teen, but they were separate. So we were able to do that. Kakana Library, Pillars, one of the things that really stands out around Pillars is an important facet of the community living room within an organization is it's not for your clients, it's for everyone. So these community living rooms that we bring in are for staff, they're for board members, they're for volunteers and participants, and watching the connection that happens when those hierarchies are taken away. It's very human, it's very raw, and it's very real, and it's really beautiful to watch. So Pillars was one of our examples of that. Building for Kids, Thompson Community Center on Lords, Esther, Family Connections, and then we were also in community events. So You Belong Block Party, Alpha Mania was up in De Pere. That was wonderful. Mile of Music, the Recovery Walk, We Heart You, New Hmong Professionals Resource Fair, and I know there's more. That's like a really good representation.
Yeah.
So another piece of what we do is, and if you would like to do this, please feel free to sign up. We send out daily texts to connect people. And the text is either something you can reflect on, or it's something that just lets you know that there are people in community that care about you. So there is a space on our webpage to sign up for the daily text. If you sign up and you're like, wow, this is way too much, you can opt out. I have found that it really creates a pause in my life to stop what I'm doing and just going, how are you, Lynn? What are you feeling? What's going on? Because I don't think we have enough of that in our day. We're constantly going, and this creates a pause for me.
This is for you.
Yeah.
This is for you, for all of you. Yeah. Hop on our website. Oh, a little excited. There.
So we do a lot of custom trainings. We've done trainings for organizations around connection as prevention. We've done, in fact, we're just getting back from the Wisconsin Peer Recovery Conference. We did one on compassion, fatigue, and burnout, and how connection can help with that. If you are interested, please let us know. The podcast that was mentioned in the beginning is called Real Vibes Only. Notice it's not called Good Vibes Only, and that's intentional because life is not always good. Sometimes we go through really hard stuff, and we want you to know that we want you to be real and that we're there for you. The other part that's really interesting about our podcast is if you're looking for a professionally produced podcast, this is not it. It is not it. Karen and I literally sit at our kitchen tables and our jammies and say, what's up, what's real for you at this moment? And then we hit record. So yeah, it is, there's a lot of laughter, there's tears, there is an occasional coffee mug dumped over, a couple dogs barking and kids laughing or not laughing. So yeah, it's very real, very, very real. We are all about authenticity and showing up as we are.
So this is our website. So at the table, that's right over there, we've got lots of thank you. Yeah, we've got postcards, we've got our business cards, we've got information sheets that kind of talk about all the programs that we talked about today. We also have over on the table is a flyer, the Advancing Healthier Wisconsin grant that we received. We're able to do free ECPR training for folks who live or work in Winnebago County. So we've got one in May, we've got one in July, and one in September. So there's information about registering there. For all of our other trainings and opportunities, come to our website. There are links there, and we have a separate community living room website as well that'll post when those are available. Y'all are invited on June 4th. We also do virtual community living rooms. So it's over the lunch hour from 11 to 1. So you can just come on to Zoom and hang out with us. And we talk about what's real for you. We are there to support you. And so if there's anything that we can do to support you in the work that you're doing in connection, we're here for it. We would love to hear from you. So that's us. We have some time. Yeah, thank you. We have some time and space for questions. Yeah.
I know you mentioned that in a pop-up community living room, people are free to come. There is no registration required, and it's open.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that the listeners are paid.
Yes.
So how do you plan on having how many listeners, and you have no idea how many people may show up?
Yeah.
Because I understand that this is more one-on-one conversation because it is personal.
Yeah.
It can be painful.
Yeah.
So it's not to be done in an open environment where everybody is listening.
Good question. So we always have 3 listeners that are there. And in the community living rooms, it always looks different. Sometimes it's people connecting one-on-one. Often it's people connecting in groups or like small groups, sometimes in large groups. It kind of flows based on what people need. The other really powerful piece, so part of the value of ECPR and the value of peer support as well is thinking about connections as mutual. We're connecting at like a human to human level. And so sometimes support is happening among other people, like not with a listener. Does that make sense? So there's always a listen. If somebody wanted or needed one-on-one support, we've always got enough listeners for them to have kind of that one-on-one connection. But it often looks like people connecting in a group. Yeah, thank you. Ooh, you're official. Here we go.
But you were saying how y'all connected, like with the Menasha Library in the community with parents and with teens.
Yeah.
Does the does this fold over to like the high school and middle school as well? Like, do enough different like cultures, like diversity cultures, know about this? Like, are y'all sending y'all flyers to the school to actually get it out?
Yeah, thank you. So for Menasha, we sent it to the Menasha schools, and the Menasha library publicized it. So as new, we're getting word out into community of what this is and who it's for. We've done some training with high school groups before that have been really powerful with students.
I have no idea what's that.
With staff, not with, yes, we did one school staff thing. We would love to do more. We would love to, yeah. Yeah, we would love to. Super passionate about getting this information in the hands of kids.
It's part of the community.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the parents and,
Yes.
work inside of the schools, and the school sees our kids, and when our kids come out into the community, they don't really see it.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like that's where our community gonna be expanded.
Yes. Love that. Yeah.
That's
Mental
part of our
note.
partnership.
Yeah. Thank you.
So this is a question that I ask often because I like to hear others just words to it. So you had mentioned that the connection is essential to health and well-being. And so many people feel that basic needs is homelessness, shelter, food, and clothing.
Yeah.
So where does mental health fit into a basic need?
Yeah, that's right. Ooh, super passionate about talking about this. Yes, it is a basic need. It is a basic need. And so what is kind of exciting is this US Surgeon General's report, right? Which is saying like the Surgeon General has declared this a public health crisis. So this is not something that's just like nice to have in community, right? And we're all humans and we all need connection. And connection influences our health and well-being, our mental health and our physical health. And so, yeah, I love the question. Keep asking that in community, right? Yeah, and talking about it and talking about the importance of, and especially I would say like, so talking about it in community broadly, but having different kinds of conversations with folks that are from marginalized or oppressed groups. Like even more so. So older folks with disabilities, folks from different cultures, how important this is. And Ebb and Flow's philosophy is look, we're like two white women standing up here, right? It's not my place. It's like, I know my culture, but I don't know. And so it's been really exciting to partner with folks to say, what does your community need? Not what I think your community needs, what does your community need? And we're here to partner and provide training and provide support for you, right, to say what should it look like in my community.
Is there, I'm pretty sure we done collabed a lot with you all because we had the training.
Yeah.
So my thing would be is like, is there any way we can do like a collab with like the youth in an area and ask the youth what is it that they need?
Yes.
Because what I'm finding is these youth don't have nothing that they like to do.
That's right.
And it's more so what the parent wants them to do, what the teacher wants them to do, what, like what everybody else wants them to do, but we're not really asking them what it is they want to do.
Yeah.
So that might include them creating groups, spaces for themselves. Like one girl likes to knit, her and 3 other girls want to knit, like, and then including this training as well, so they have the outlet.
Yes, all of that. Yes.
Yeah. I'm here to say yes.
Yes. Like, we're super passionate about that, and that's one of the things that's been really that we've loved about working with high school students, how much we're learning from them and how much when you open that door to say like, what do you want and need? They know, they don't need us to tell them, like they know. And so more We sometimes say in our work, like, we don't need more voices, we need more ears, right, to really listen to what people are saying they want and need.
I have my own follow-up question on the marginalized and oppressed folks comment. Often I think folks from marginalized backgrounds, they need a space with folks with a shared identity in order to fully open up, to be able to have people to really hold the right kind of space for them. Have you been able to create affinity spaces for folks with shared identities?
Yeah, so can I shout out People of Progression? So we worked with People of Progression, trained a group of folks, and then they brought it into a men's group. They brought it into some youth groups. They brought it into some groups for girls, and took, like, it was so cool. Took our curriculum, expanded it in a way that made sense. And then we're there to say, hey, we're here to support you. Like, how can we support you? What do you need? And so that's kind of what it looks like. Sorry,
We're gonna get the mic to you so online folks can hear it.
We also just did a training for faith-based members.
yes.
We did it with 3 different churches in the Black community.
Yep.
And when I tell you, being around older individuals who was really not open to expressing their emotions and not really understanding why they had those type of emotions, especially coming from me, I'm granny raised, I always say, because I was raised by my grandmother, but knowing how she suppressed her emotions just to make sure we wasn't too emotional on things, but not knowing how to handle our emotions, they gave us like a bigger insight on where society made us push our emotions back. Like, you had no room for that part. You had to be mentally prepared for everything, physically prepared. If not, then we taking this from you. So emotions wasn't part of that.
Yeah.
So I think that this is one of the biggest trainings that can be done in society and for this people in general, but also we need to target our younger kids.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid of these kids that they got to take care of me when I'm old.
Yeah, thank you for shouting that out, the faith-based partnership piece as well. Yeah.
And
really
do you
cool.
want to, I don't have mic, mention the Hmong curriculum and?
Oh, yes. So one of the people in our co-op works at New Hmong Professionals and is one of our ECPR trainer in training. And we are just starting down the road of translating the curriculum, not just translating it, but culturally translating it, which we're super excited about. So ECPR has been taught in Polish and Spanish, and I can't remember all the languages, in Chinese. And so we're super excited. That's happening here. So it's really exciting. Like, we love this work and are so passionate about this work, as you can probably see, and are also super passionate about supporting others who are passionate about this work. So the way people become members of our co-op is they take a training. They become, some of the folks in our co-op just do training. Like, they just want to be trainers. Some of them just want to be listeners in the community living room space. And then they have the opportunity to take it in. Like, we have one who's a yoga teacher who weaves in emotional health into what she does in her yoga classes. So it's really cool to see how it, I don't know, like sprouts or spreads or whatever analogy you want to use with folks. Ripples. That's good. Waters. Ripples. Thank you. Ripples.
Ripples in the water of society. Love it. All right. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up there. Thank you, both of you, Karen and Lynn. Let's give them a big round of applause. And what I want to do is very briefly open up to the floor. If there are any announcements from our organizations who are represented here. Yes, secure. Let me bring the mic to you so our online folks can hear.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hugo Gonzalez from CAP Services, and I just want to share some information about an event that is coming up next month. And we're having a film showing and vaccine clinic and resource fair right across the street on one of the rooms in Fox Valley Tech. So I have some flyers over here with all the information, but whoever gets the vaccine, the latest vaccine, they will get an incentive that is an Amazon gift card. So I'm encouraging everybody to share that information. If there's any organizations that would like to come and be part of it and bring your informational table, we're open to that as well. So it is May 8th from 1 to 3:30 p.m.
Yes. Hello. I am Kim from People of Progression, and we have a big announcement. We are having a mothers and daughters, but you don't have to be a mother, you don't have to have a daughter. It's just women in general. We are hosting a paint party for Mother's Day on May the 11th from 11 to 3, and you all are invited. Please come. We are trying to get our groups out there on the map. We facilitate my parent leader here and we are facilitating 2 groups on the second Saturday and fourth Saturday of the month. And we have a group that is called This Is Not Your Average Group. That is a multicultural group for all women of all backgrounds to come and to, just have a sisterhood, right? Just come and talk and do what we're doing here, right? Get your emotions, your feelings out, just being around like-minded people, but know that you're not alone, type of group. And then we do have a group, it's called Black Queens Fix Your Crown. It's because that, sometimes women of our culture has no one else to talk to, right? And it's difficult for them to open up to other people, but we want to let them know that there is a sisterhood here that they can open up to and be, and just know that people from their background do understand some of the, the judgment and biased behavior that we do face out here in Wisconsin, because it is true. But those groups are on hold until after the Mother's Day brunch, because I feel like once everyone comes to the Mother's Day brunch, we can reintroduce that, and then people will actually know that this is a part of the community, that it's welcome for everybody. I try to think about everybody and just try to have a group for everyone to come. So, and we do have Stick Talk, which is a men's group that men are welcome to. That's their job to talk about, my job to talk about. What I need to talk about. So all are welcome. And if I don't have your email, just to send it out, because it's like in 2 weeks, and to send it out to your organization so you can invite people, or if you are on People of Progression Facebook page, you can see it. Say that you're coming. I would like to see some of these faces there. Okay? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Anybody else? Is there anybody online in the chat, Sarah, or anybody raising their hands? No. All right. Well, I think then just a couple last things. We do have a survey. If you have any feedback about these events, about MCC in general, or about today, you can scan that QR code. You can go to that link, and you can just give us your feedback in a survey. And our next meeting, you're not seeing double. I will be presenting updates from Inclusion in the Outdoors, and Luke Schiller of Heckrot Wetland Reserve, which is one of Inclusion in the Outdoors core partners. We will both be sharing, and we will be doing it on site at Heckrot. So if you're sick of Fox Valley Tech, we are going to be out there at the reserve. They have a beautiful space, and before or after, you are free to hit the trails. We might be able to have a little time and look at their pollinator pavilion, which is a new bilingual exhibit that they are putting together. So May 23rd at Heckrot, come and see us. Of course, that will also be available online, as with all of our meetings. And that's it for today. So thank you, everybody. We went a little bit over time, but please have a wonderful day. Stay connected. And we'll see you next time.